Could quarterback Joe Milton bring the first Heisman to the University of Tennessee this year?
Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton is about to have an enormous year.
Pretty much any quarterback is going to thrive here. Like Lincoln Riley in his career, seems like everyone turns into a Heisman Trophy contender. Is that Josh Heupel?
When you start to hear people talk about who could win the Heisman Trophy this upcoming season, you hear the obvious names out there. Of course, Caleb Williams maybe potentially going back-to-back years for the Heisman, and then quarterback Cade Mays for North Carolina, and you can just hear a couple more people, so on and so on. But the one guy who I don't think is getting enough media attention from the nation is Joe Milton, but he's 100% getting the consideration when you're talking about the Southeastern Conference and, of course, around the state of Tennessee. Joe Milton comes this upcoming football season with an extreme amount of God-gifted talent that a whole lot of other players just cannot match. And yes, there is an opportunity there for him to shock a lot of people and win this year's Heisman Trophy. And we're going to talk about it in this video right now. Hey guys, if you could do me one favor, please hit that thumbs up. That way this video gets pushed out to a larger audience, and always subscribe to join the fam, and that way you don't miss more content. Back to the video. Now, before we get into this video, there is a disclaimer that I would like to present to you, and it's a pretty big disclaimer. I am in no way, shape, or form a Tennessee Vols fan. I would probably be more categorized as a Tennessee hater. Yes, that is. But before you click off this video, I'm going to let you know that I'm going to keep this straight and no bias, anything like that. Because while I do hate the Tennessee Vols, and boy do I hate the Tennessee Vols, I absolutely love their offense. Their offense is just extremely exciting, fast-paced, and just so hard to defend when you're talking about from a defensive standpoint. So, with that being said, I'm going to keep this very honest about Joe Milton. The question is, can Joe Milton bring the first Heisman to the University of Tennessee? And if you ask me, unfortunately, this really hurts me to say, I think there's a legit chance. And if he does, then Tennessee fans are going to be ecstatic, because it also means that they've had an incredible year and they're probably in the postseason playoffs this year. So, when we're talking about Joe Milton, it has even came out just recently, a couple days ago, from ESPN that named Tennessee's football Joe Milton the most important player in college football playoff race for 2023. We all know what went out the door for the University of Tennessee, and that was Hendon Hooker. And I was on record to say there was no way that you could bench Joe Milton for Hendon Hooker. And it really wasn't nothing against Hendon Hooker at that time. It was all about the amount of upside that Joe Milton had. I just think his ceiling is, no pun intended, absolutely through the roof. And I know that he can hit the roof with his freaking arm. But it's like, at that point, I just did not think that you could make that move from a Joe Milton to Hendon Hooker just based off potential. But I don't think anybody, definitely me, saw any scenario where Hendon Hooker was going to do what he did last year. I mean, Hendon Hooker just completely took off the past 2 years. And, you know, he produced outstanding numbers in 2 seasons with the Vols, 6,080 passing yards and 58 touchdowns in 24 games. So it's safe to say that the Vols made the right decision with going to Hooker, but now it's time once again for for Joe Milton to be able to take that torch. The Michigan transfer played 9 games with the Vols last season, logging 971 passing yards and 10 touchdowns, and he didn't throw a single interception last year. Now, when he first got the job, of course, he lost his job in Michigan. And then when he first got the nod for the Tennessee Vols, I believe he played 1, maybe 2 games. His issue was just inaccuracy. He had a rocket of an arm, but he could not really find that touch to be able to put it there for the receivers. Last year, it did seem like while he was in mop-up duty for a lot of the times, he was able to find that touch and really hit those receivers in stride. Of course, it started with the Vanderbilt game. I don't want to talk about that. Yes, I am a Vanderbilt fan. But then it rolled right over into the Clemson game, where he played very well in their route of winning that bowl game. The 6'5" quarterback has led UT to key wins in like the 31-14 Orange Bowl victory I was just talking about against Clemson. Milton is left to live up to the legacy of Hendon Hooker, but he's ready to write his own legacy. This is what an anonymous coach had to say about the University of Tennessee's quarterback, Joe Milton. He is an absolute cannon for an arm. There is no vertical shot that he cannot hit. He's a little more of a pocket passer and seems to be comfortable standing back there and making throws. He's got all the right tools you need. He can reach the far numbers. He can spray it all over the field, and it's extremely scary to be able to defend. He's the most dangerous guy, an SEC defense coordinator said. He's kind of like what Anthony Richardson was in 2022. This coach went on to say that every time he watched him in warm-ups, he's the type of guy that says, my goodness, I hope he doesn't get in. Well, now is the time for Joe Milton to get in and to right his wrongs and to be able to take this Tennessee Vols team to higher heights than what Hendon Hooker could. Of course, there's pressure behind him with Nico coming in with the high praise of being a 5-star quarterback and the future for the University of Tennessee, but I think even Tennessee fans know what Joe Milton has to offer in the incredible ceiling that you're not even honestly hearing a lot of Vols fans talk about Nico. They are excited for the opportunity that Joe Milton has right in front of them. Big question is, can he do it? This offense has seen where multiple receivers now went out into the NFL draft, some really highly touted receivers, Cedric Tillman, Jalen Hyatt, and you start to ask yourself, can they replenish those pieces? To me, unfortunately, once again, not a Vols fan, I think they can. I think they've got talented receivers coming in who's waiting their opportunity. Of course, you got your Squirrel Whites of the world. But then it's not even about the personnel. The personnel is really good there for the University of Tennessee. It's that offense, guys. That offense is just extremely hard to defend, extremely hard to prepare for any defensive coordinator out there like that. And then on top of that, it's an offense that suits a quarterback to me. Because of the spread system, because of the wide splits, you can often find scenarios where receivers are just in open space and it allows the quarterback to go through quick read progressions, 1 to 2, ball out. Hardly ever do you see Tennessee get to a third read progression. These are the tools that's just going to elevate a Joe Milton to have a higher chance of success. So if you ask me, I think Joe Milton 100% could bring the first Heisman to the University of Tennessee. If he does, that means that Tennessee is probably in the postseason, because I feel like you've got to be in that sort of picture to be able to have the Heisman chances. Once again, I hope he doesn't, but he's got a shot. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. As always, subscribe. Don't miss any more content. Join the fam. Stay humble. Stay kind. Peace.